Well, let me begin by saying I consider this the most nakedly political misuse and abuse of the criminal justice system in American history.
You would think that after years of lawfare by the Democrats and the Democrat-infested Department of Justice, that the lawfare would have come to an end. Appears not.
This week marked the final act in a long and unprecedented legal saga. On Friday, Donald Trump was sentenced to unconditional discharge for his conviction on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Basically, that means he won't face any real consequences for breaking the law, except the stigma, of course, of being criminally convicted by a jury. It's a small measure of accountability and the only one of Trump's 4 criminal cases to actually go to trial.
Here you see Jen Psaki bewailing the lack of what she sees as real consequences for Trump's perceived crimes. You just need to look at her facial expressions and listen to the tone of her voice to see that there is not even a pretense, in fact, not even an attempt at a pretense of objectivity. Perhaps, to use her own favoured terminology, she should circle back and learn what it is to have some real objectivity. That won't be happening with her at MSNBC. And as if that wasn't bad enough, just listen to Andrew Weissman ramp up the rhetoric.
You think about the idea that there could be pardons for the people who were involved in January 6th. It gets to be a pretty dystopian world, that when you think that somebody could be committing crimes as outrageous and horrendous as not just attacking police officers, but really attacking our democracy and doing it at the behest of the president, but would face no criminal consequences. So we really could be entering a lawless world.
Weisenberg talks of a dystopian world. Outrageous and horrendous attacks on police officers and our democracy. The Democrats have been doing this on a continual basis. And what of the outrageous and horrendous crimes committed by Biden's son and others that Biden has pardoned? And as if that wasn't bad enough, he talks of entering a lawless world. Mad Max, here we come, according to this unhinged person. To think that he was ever even taken seriously as a lawyer. If you enjoy this sort of content, please like, share and subscribe. Weisenberg continues.
Sort of Trump rallies where he embraced explicitly sort of everybody who participated in this violent insurrection, people who participated in the violent attack on the Capitol.
So, Trump embraced everybody who participated in a violent insurrection, did he? Really? Everybody? Trump has said nothing negative about those who were violent. An insurrection? Weissman, as a lawyer, should know that there are specific criteria that need to be met to be considered an insurrection. And this was a long way from that. He is working himself up into a frenzy based on his own internal rage. Then we get a bit more perspective on the lawfare.
Well, let me begin by saying I consider this the most nakedly political misuse and abuse of the criminal justice system in American history. And all of our thoughts about that, all commentary, should go through that lens. This case, as we all know, never would have been brought in New York on these facts against any other person.
Here we have Sol Weisenberg, a former deputy independent counsel. He gives a genuinely logical perspective. The hush money case was an egregious, unprecedented use of the justice system to go after a political opponent. As Weisenberg says, if it had been anyone other than someone called Donald Trump, the invented felony would never have been brought up or attempted to be taken to trial. And we even have a Democrat former House Judiciary Chief Counsel under Clinton, Julian Epstein.
Discharge today is the judicial equivalent of saying never mind. They put the country through this for 2 years, all for naught. It's an abuse of the legal system, Liz, because no American ever in the history of this country has been prosecuted on this fact pattern.
Epstein makes the point that the sentence is basically an, oh well, as if the case never happened. He makes the same point as Weisenberg, that nobody in the history of the United States of America has been prosecuted under that fact pattern. It has been an appalling politicization of the DOJ.
Was conflicted. The prosecutor was conflicted. It will be reversed on at least 3 different grounds. There was never any notice as to what the actual charges were. The jury was able to pick from a menu of possible offenses. There was no unanimity requirement in the jury decision. And the reason it was such a gross abuse was because, to the extent that this involved federal campaign finance charges, there is nothing in federal campaign finance law that says hush money is a reportable offense, as Alvin Bragg alleged. In fact, you have former chairs that that the judge would not let testify that have been very clear, for chairs of the FEC, that have said that hush money is not a reportable expenditure, and things like that are not reportable expenditures. This was a gross abuse of the system. The fact that more Democrats like myself are not calling this out is just a testament to how the justice system has been politicized.
He points out that this will be easily appealable and overturnable. It was a gross abuse of the justice system. He is concerned that Democrats in the legal system, such as him, are not calling out the gross injustice and politicization of the justice system. He points out just how politicized this makes it, that partisan lawyers are not even speaking up about a gross abuse of justice. And the DOJ continues with his partisan political interference.
The U.S. Department of Justice says that the city of Hazelton discriminates against its Hispanic citizens with its current method of electing council members.
The DOJ filed a lawsuit this week asking a federal judge to order the city to change the current at-large method of electing council members to allow for a more fair process for the city's Hispanic population. 2822 News I-Team reporter Andy Mahalchik joins us now live in the studio. Andy?
Well, good afternoon, Nick and Candace. This is a copy of that 10-page lawsuit. It outlines what federal officials describe as a pattern of discrimination against the city's Hispanic community when it comes to electing council members.
According to the DOJ, Hazelton isn't democratic, and they will force it on Hazelton whether Hazelton likes it or not. So much for democracy. They say the method of electing council members is discriminatory against Hispanic voters. They say there are not enough Hispanic preferred Hispanic councillors. In other words, the DOJ doesn't like the results of the elections. Hazelton has hit back.
They're coming in here and trying to force something down our throats that, needs to be discussed with the people. And if the people would want that, then it's okay.
Cassat argues that the lawsuit itself is not fair to the entire community.
To me, they're stereotyping our community, and it's not fair. We have a great community here. Everybody's working together, and we should be able to work our government the way it has to be.
As the mayor of Hazelton, Jeff Cusat, says, Hazelton should be able to work out the voting system that the residents of Hazelton want. He makes another very valid point. He sees them as stereotyping the community in typical Democrat fashion. To the Democrats, it's all about identity. Seems they cannot conceive of a Hispanic person voting for a white or vice versa. Presumably the same goes for women voting for men, and vice versa there too. This is the ludicrous identity politics of the left, where they can only see things through the bifocal lens of race and sex. Even one of the Hispanic candidates put the nonsense of the DOJ's case to bed.
Amilcar Arroyo is publisher of the Spanish-language newspaper in Hazelton, El Mensajero. He says he understands what the intent of the DOJ lawsuit is. He ran for school board and state representative, and he lost, but he thinks the problem is really voter turnout.
It's sad to say it, but Latino people doesn't come out and vote.
Amilcar Arroyo, who stood as a candidate, simply said that Hispanic people did not turn out to vote in numbers. Surely this is reasonable, it's people's own choice. Meanwhile, the DOJ says the problem is that white Hazelton voters keep preferred Hispanic candidates from winning by voting for other candidates. How terrible! Perish the thought that people may have their own ideas about who to vote for. If you vote for a non-Democrat DOJ preferred candidate, expect to have the DOJ come after you. Such is the dysfunctional nature of today's justice system. Then we have Michael Cohen believing that he should get a pardon from Biden.
I put in the application for a presidential pardon because I believe that Joe Biden has the same responsibility to me that he had to his own son. And I would expect that the same exact pardon that he gave his son has to go to me and to anybody else that's on that enemies list, whether they want it or not. Because I assure you, solitary confinement where I did 51 days sucked.
Michael Cohen, Trump's disgraced former lawyer, has a real feeling of entitlement. He believes that he is entitled to a pardon, just like Hunter Biden. Ignoring the fact that Hunter Biden is a criminal who should never have been pardoned by Daddy, we have the fact that Cohen feels entitled as he believes that Trump has a hit list and that he is on it. The difference is Trump is not the Democrats embarking on lawfare, and Cohen demonstrates a sense of entitlement common to criminals. If he wants to leave the US, he is welcome to go. What do you think of the way that the left media are carrying on? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.